go.
A little bit.
Come on.
Okay, so we're reading the book The Martian.
The Martian. Okay.
The Martian.
Now this is like the one from the movie that was just out, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so our main question is, do you believe that science has limits?
Does science have limits? Let's just say science is limited by the imagination of the person doing the science.
It's a good answer.
So does science have limits? Only limited by your imagination.
Nice. Okay, and in the book, the guy is stranded on Mars. Right now, how long do you think it'll take for us to get to Mars? Like
Travel time or before somebody's living
no,
there?
like before somebody can actually like be on Mars, like because he had a crew there with him.
Mm-hmm. Depends on how determined we are, but I'm going to guess we have somebody. We have at least a place you can stay on Mars by 2030.
And that's including all the technology and everything that...
The technology exists now to get you there. We might have a hard time getting you back. But we can get you there now.
All right.
Okay. What do you have for questions?
It was kind of what you did.
Okay, so
What the limits were and what do you think
you're a
about it?
scientist, right?
Yes. Well,
What-
I agree.
So, what do you think? What's your favorite part about science? Let's just do that.
The imagination and knowing that you might be able to do something if you think about it and dream about it.
Okay, what?
And it's always something new. It's not like history that never changes. It's always changing, and we go back and rewrite it when we discover new things. So what I like about science is it's not static. It always changes.
Okay. So would you, if you had a chance to go to Mars, would you?
If I was 25, yes.
So, okay, yeah, because it's such a long time to get there.
Yeah. Well, no, Mars, we're there in 6 to 9 months, depending on where it is in its orbit. It's not a long transit. But
It will probably feel long, though.
it probably would.
Being-
Do
Probably
you think
would.
you'd need more education to be able to stay on Mars for a while? Kind of how the book is, how he's a botanist.
I actually think by 2030 when we go, it'll probably be, the grunt work will be robotized. So I don't think so.
You might not want to go.
I think it'll be robotic, unless you totally lose communication to Earth, which he did. I don't see it being that big of an issue because there's tons of expertise shared through communications anymore. I don't think you'd have to have one person with massive amounts of knowledge to go to Mars.
Right.
I think it'll be much more niche-based, and you'll have robotics doing a lot of the work.
Do you ever think we'll actually like colonize on Mars?
Absolutely. In less than 50 years, we can have a breathable atmosphere on Mars if we find the right biologics to make it work. We just need a great anaerobic bacteria that can survive at cold temperatures, and we're good.
And we can make that up in a lab, right? The bacteria. figure out what
No,
it
we
is.
really can't create life yet, but we're working on that. But no, we have to find something that can survive the current Martian temperatures in order to begin converting the CO2 to O2.
Would we have to do that at Mars or like
Yes.
in
No,
Mars to
it'll
make
have-
sure it actually works?
It'll have to be there. We just have to warm the place up. And as we've learned on Earth, humans are very good at warming a planet up. So I think it's very feasible.
Would it help if we got a lot of bodies up there, or do you
Nah.
actually need like a
Nah,
bacteria?
It's something else.
Okay.
Yeah, you need something that's going to produce gas. We need to pollute Mars.
Oh,
We need
good.
we need to pollute the Martian atmosphere to warm the planet up.
What about water supply?
There's plenty of water on Mars.
There is?
Yeah, there's actually, during the Martian summers, there's running water now. It's
Okay.
briny, it's super salty, but, and one of the caps is solid frozen ice. We think there's plenty of water just under the Martian surface, under the old ocean beds and seabeds. Water's not a problem.
So what about O2? So if we warm up the planet, will we have O2?
Yeah, because the ice will melt and there'll be running water on
Okay.
the surface of Mars again. It's all still there.
Okay.
It's just
So we just
frozen.
got to find a way to convert
Just
it.
got to warm the
into-
place up.
Okay.
And then find a way to keep it because Mars doesn't have a magnetic field like the Earth does, so the solar wind slowly strips the atmosphere away. But other than that,
Whatever. If we do go to Mars to colonize, do you think they'll take specific people first to
yeah,
make
they
sure
will,
it's...
Yep, they will have people that fill the roles they need. So yes, it will be a very competitive process, I'm sure, to go to Mars first.
Okay, going back on the magnetic field, do you know anything about Mars with its magnetic field?
Mars
Like, is
does
it
not have a magnetic
none at all?
field currently, no.
Right.
Mars is it's significantly smaller than the Earth. So it has cooled all the way through. It doesn't have a spinning core like the Earth does, at least we don't think it does. So far, it cannot have a magnetic field as we know it.
All right, but if we were on there long enough, we could get rock samples and see if there was the fossilized magnetic.
Yes, there would be evidence in the rocks, just like there is of Earth of the magnetic field.
Right.
So, have you seen or read The Martian?
I have seen the movie, yes.
Okay, so knowing that it's science fiction, what are some of the things in the movie that we could possibly have?
The movie was actually pretty good, science-wise. Where it was wrong is the wind can never blow that hard on Mars. I mean, the wind barely hits 70 miles an hour on Mars. Those are our top recorded gusts, and because the atmosphere is so light, it would barely move a flag. So the whole opening scene was incredibly scientifically inaccurate.
Okay.
The rest of it was pretty good.
So do you think his obviously his whole journey would have changed because then the crew wouldn't have left, but when he is stranded there and there was no winds, do you think it would have been a lot easier to survive however long he needed to?
I thought it was actually pretty good about the growing things and being able to survive. So he was doing a little chemistry, had a little stoic going on to produce the water. And it was actually pretty good science, that part. So I think he could have survived.
Okay.
Assuming the nutrients are there to grow the potatoes, and he took care of that with his own poop, so.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Let's see. There was another question that I had and then I lost it. So you say that science has no limits depending on the person, but why,
Science will have one limit, and that will be the laws that human culture enacts to slow it down. And those could be good laws, and those could be bad laws. That's up for society to decide. If you don't put limits on science, we're going to try it. Simple as that.
So, do you think the scientists we have now, do you think we can get somewhere sooner, or?
That's a question of funding.
Okay.
Okay? The more we fund the sciences, the faster the sciences will progress.
In your classes now, do you think you see any potential science people?
Oh, sure, several. And you never know. I mean, I have a friend who now is anesthesiologist. He's brilliant, and he had D's all through high school and didn't care. So he barely got to college. And so you just can't predict whatever the fire's going to light in somebody. You just don't know.
What set your fire off for being a scientist?
Probably going to college. You can actually take it back to a 7th grade life science teacher who just thought I was really bored, so he started making me work harder and harder and harder.
Isn't that what your wife teaches?
Yeah.
Because I think I had her at Lewis and Clark.
You might
So
have. But it just, you find something that triggers your imagination, and he found what triggered my imagination, and it was in science, and I was just kind of like the sciences and math from kind of 7th grade on.
that was just your
Because
thing.
all of a sudden it wasn't worksheets, it was thinking and problem solving.
More hands-on.
It wasn't just, here's your worksheet, do this, here's your worksheet, do that.
True. I love hands-on things. It makes me more happy.
It makes me more
it's the way,
interested in it.
yeah, and different ways that people can learn.
Mhm.
Anything else you can think of?
I was trying to think of any geological things on Mars that we would know of besides what's already
Where we land will be very interesting to try to figure out, because you're going to have to be close to water, because water's super heavy. We can't take it with us. You know, it's really expensive to lift water off the surface of the Earth. So we're going to have to use water that's there. So it'll be really careful where we land, and we have to make sure we don't land where there's any chance of bacteria still alive on Mars. We don't want to destroy any life that may exist on the planet. So that's real picky too.
Can we
I'd rather go
bring
to Enceladus at Mars, but anyway, go ahead.
can we bring bacteria to Mars?
Absolutely.
Like just on our bodies and stuff?
It's impossible to take a human mission anywhere without carrying bacteria.
Okay. Can we carry plants over? Like if we had like a bunch of plants in like a ship and bring it over, do you think we could like plant
Yeah,
it?
as long as it was kept indoors in a warmer environment, absolutely.
Okay. Would that help the process of switching or of making the planet warmer?
It would, but you're gonna need, like establishing a few covered greenhouses, if you will, won't be enough to terraform the planet. You're gonna need wild things growing on Mars and producing oxygen, much like early Earth, to really transform that place. So just taking a few plants up won't do it. We're gonna have to find something we can spread across that whole planet.
All right, so let's say Earth was kind of, Mars was kind of like Earth, and do you think there would be fossils, or is it too old and the rocks will have metamorphosed and they've completely
Well,
gone
you have to
now?
understand that the geologic process that occurs on the Earth, Mars is cool all the way through. So their plate tectonics is no longer occurring, volcanism is no longer occurring. So things that were preserved when that planet cooled would still be preserved. I really don't know the exact time frame where Mars, the geological processes basically stopped. When they lost its atmosphere, most of the erosion, there's still some wind erosion obviously, but the water erosion would have stopped. And so it's kind of a time capsule back probably 200-300 million years ago. Probably more than that, probably, I don't know, 3.5 billion years ago would be about when Mars lost a lot of its stuff. So
So
yeah,
things
if
may
there's
be
evidence of
preserved.
life there, it's very old life.
And
unless
it may
something-
be preserved somewhere too.
Yes.
All right.
Or unless something has managed to survive under the surface that we can't see right now. And that's theoretically possible, although there's no evidence of it at this time.
So does Mars have like a core? It has a core, but is it like hot like ours?
No, it's solid all the way through.
It's solid
we
all the way
think. So
through?
there's no more
Okay.
volcanoes on Mars. We think
Okay.
the geological processes are dead.
Okay, and that's because there's no atmosphere, right?
Well, the whole planet is cooled all the way through.
Okay.
And then the loss of the atmosphere, because the planet lost its magnetic field, then the solar wind stripped away the atmosphere and froze the place solid.
Okay. So do you think there could have been any like living organisms on Mars when it had an atmosphere? Or?
Wild guess, yes, but
Okay.
that's just a guess.
And you're saying that we could probably see that if we like dig
we
into
would
the
have
fossil.
to look for it, but it's possible.
Okay.
Possible.
Do you believe in other life forms on any other planets,
The
or
math says there has to be.
that's what a lot of people say?
Any,
I think so.
Anybody who knows math and looks at odds and statistics will tell you there's life in the universe somewhere else. There's no way there can't be. Has to be.
So after Mars, do you think we're gonna go to any other planet, or
Enceladus.
what's that? I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
Enceladus is the moon of Saturn.
Oh.
And our Cassini spaceship just flew through a geyser of Enceladus. It was shooting geyser stuff into space. Enceladus is an ice-encased moon with fresh water underneath the ice. We believe there's volcanic activity going on, so the water is warm underneath the ice. And when we flew through and captured the geyser material, everything necessary for life was contained in that material. You want to look for bacteria close to the Earth? Go to Enceladus.
How far away is that?
Saturn. You're talking 3-4
So
years.
3-4 years. Okay. So a lot longer than Mars, but
Yep. Triple
by a
Mars.
lot. But
Triple Mars. Triple Mars.
Do you think
Okay.
we'll do that as soon as we figure out what's on Mars, maybe, or the technology to get there, and maybe
The technology exists to do it now. It's just a question of will we fund it.
well, Mars is in between. Hold on, I gotta think of
Mercury,
this.
Venus, Earth, Mars.
Yes. Okay.
Asteroid
yes.
belt, Jupiter.
Jupiter. Okay,
Saturn.
so I am thinking right.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought that was Venus. Anyway, so would we colonize on Mars first, and then would it make us that much closer to Saturn? So would we like launch
Yes,
things from
but
Saturn
living
or from Mars?
Living underneath an ice cap in a warm ocean is much more difficult to colonize than Mars would be.
Okay.
So yeah, Mars will be first.
Okay. And then, do you think we would like send stuff from Mars to there because
Makes
they're
sense.
closer to each other? Okay.
Mighty dollar.
True.
We'll find
True.
out.
We're in so much debt already.
Yeah, we could sell Yellowstone Park and pay off our debt. But anyway,
True.
if you think of the average homeowner in their debt, people who buy a house are in debt, but they have enough house to pay off their debt. The United States is in debt. We have more than enough resources to pay it
To
off
pay
if
it
we
off.
ever wanted to.
Do you think we'll ever sell our national
I
parks?
hope not. Let's just sell Florida.
There you go. Good idea. Goodbye, Florida. It's got Disney World and stuff. No
Yeah,
one's
we're
going to
fine.
want to sell
We're
that.
fine.
Come on.
I don't worry about the debt. It's a fake. It's a fake.
Fake number.
It's a fake number. It's a fake issue.
Do you think we're ahead of? So when we had like Sputnik and stuff, and we were like racing against Russia, do you think we're
Sputnik
still?
was one of the things that turned me into science because all of a sudden it became the United States against the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a science race going on right now. Not necessarily space, although the Chinese are on their way back to the moon with people to the moon. So, and I think they call them taikonauts, am I correct? We call them astronauts. The Russians call them cosmonauts. Do you guys call them taikonauts?
Right.
Taikonauts. I named a cat a taikonaut once. I like that name. They're on their way into space too, because if you have a space program, your science is advancing rapidly. One of the reasons why the United States has the best science in the world is because we had a space program. That's why the Russians had a space program. That's why the Chinese are building a space program. You want to learn science, you want to advance quickly? Go where it's hard to do it. Go to space. And yeah, as long as we keep funding it, we'll keep advancing in science.
So that goes back to the no limits in science. You just find a place.
You got to find a way to fund it and do it because it'll pay dividends in the long run. To cut off that stuff is to cut your nose off to spite your face. Because Earth isn't going to be here forever.
Yeah.
This planet is doomed one way or the other.
Do you think because there's so many different things we can do with science, that it'll ever not be funded?
Yeah. Because right now in the United States we have a very science illiterate population that doesn't see a lot of value in basic research. So will it ever be unfunded? I don't think so. Will it be underfunded? I do believe so.
Okay.
And then when somebody passes us, we'll be buying stuff from them because they'll be inventing it before we do.
So do you think, if ours just becomes completely unfunded, do you think most of the scientists would like try to
they'll
go somewhere else? Like Russia
they'll be in
or
high
somewhere?
demand. They'll go somewhere else.
Okay.
They'll go to Europe or China or Japan, or they'll go elsewhere. Why would you stay here?
Good question.
If they're not going to fund science, I don't want to stay here either.
Yeah. That's 17 minutes, so you can be done if you want.
I'm done. Life
Okay,
is
sounds good. Thank
See you
you.
on Enceladus.